All hell is breaking loose throughout the entire world as Donald Trump's attack on everyone is backfiring in his face. You have the premier of Greenland rebuking Donald Trump in public, saying, "Don't you dare say you're bringing hospital ships to save our people. We don't need to be saved from you." In fact, Greenland saved a soldier who was in a United States nuclear submarine that was suspiciously cruising around Greenland at the same time Denmark's king was visiting. And Greenland's premier said, "Get those boats the hell away from us and don't even think about bringing these boats around us." Lots of people in Greenland think that Donald Trump's claim that he's going to be bringing hospital ships to Greenland is like a Trojan horse for an invasion. And then there's a nuclear submarine off the coast of Greenland that they found out after some American soldier got very sick and almost died in the submarine, so it had to surface and the Greenlandic people saved the individual. I'll go through that in a moment. Also, you have the European Union Parliament saying, "We're not going through with any trade deal with the United States right now after you just imposed another 15% tariff against the rest of the world under Section 122 of the United States Trade Act of 1974. Screw that. The United States Supreme Court struck down your unlawful tariffs against the world, and now you're doing this. We can't do any deals with you. Get the hell out of here." India's trade representatives also, they canceled their trip that they were supposed to take to the United States. Also, you have Donald Trump's influencers out there saying, "Hey, guess what we did? The United States was responsible for killing El Mencho, the leader of the Jalisco New Generation cartel. The United States, we did it in Mexico." And then Mexico had to respond and said, "Actually, we did it. Sure, there was bilateral communications with the United States, but Mexico says we did it in any event." Hell is breaking loose in Mexico right now, in Guadalajara and Puerto Vallarta, where the cartels are going to war right now in Mexico. And guess where the United States troops are after Donald Trump previously threatened to invade Mexico over cartels? Trump has his troops, about 50% of American forces right now are right around Iran as Donald Trump is threatening war with Iran. You also have the French embassy summoning Charles Kushner, who's the United States ambassador to France, after the United States embassy in France put out a statement saying it is our expectation that France will follow our mandates and crack down on leftist extremist groups. There was a murder of a far right-wing person there during a protest in France, and so this was how the United States responded, trying to interfere with French domestic politics, to which in France, their government responded, "We don't need you to tell us how we handle domestic politics. That's entirely inappropriate. Let's summon the felon," right? Charles Kushner, Jared Kushner's dad, is the ambassador to France. He is a felon who was pardoned by Donald Trump in 2020. He was involved in a massive tax evasion scheme, and then his brother-in-law, his wife's brother, was cooperating with the feds against him. Actually, it was Chris Christie when he was the New Jersey federal prosecutor at the time. And when his brother-in-law was cooperating with the New Jersey feds, then Kushner, Charles Kushner, secretly hired prostitutes to try to set up his brother-in-law and then to blackmail the brother-in-law for cooperating with the feds. And then Charles Kushner had to then plead guilty to witness tampering as well. And by the way, you see why I call this video "All Hell is Breaking Loose." And then you have the United States threatening Europe. The Pentagon is threatening Europe for putting in their European defense statement that Europe now wants to buy European weapons first. You know how America has a lot of America first weapon systems and America first military procurement? Well, now the latest European Union military procurement directive for the very first time is saying Europe will buy Europe first. And especially after you have the United States making statements, Washington does not need vassals. We want strong partners. Stop being dependent on the US. Get the hell out of here, right? That's what Rubio and J.D. Vance were saying. And so Europe's like, okay, we get it. And you're also talking about putting kill switches into your military equipment like F-35. So yeah, we're going to buy Europe first. And then the United States ambassador to the EU then threatened the European Union and said, that's unacceptable. You must buy American weapons first. And Europe's like, you're threatening to invade European Union countries. You're threatening our sovereignty. You're talking about kill switches. You've engaged in a trade war against us. And then you go to these international conferences and demean us and say, we shouldn't be dependent on the US. Okay, we're doing Europe first. To which the US is like, oh, no, we didn't mean that. Our defense industry needs you to buy our weapons. Do you see what's going on here? How weak and pathetic does the United States look? And then you have the United States on the eve of a war with Iran, which I believe is also a wag the dog type moment for the Trump regime to cover up the fact that they're covering up a child sex trafficking ring and the Epstein files and everything we know there. And then you have Steve Witkoff giving an interview over this weekend saying, I'm just surprised that the Iranian Ayatollah has not capitulated yet with all of our military weapons off the coast of Iran with all of our ships, and we have 2 aircraft carriers. Why haven't they given up? Well, they're called hardliners for a reason, number one. And number two, maybe they realize how weak you are and that they think that at the end of the day, you're not going to go to a full-fledged war against them. You just want to do a strike, declare total obliteration like you did last time, which is actually not the case, and then move on. You know how unpopular Donald Trump is? Now you do the most unpopular thing and you start a war in Iran, costing America thousands of lives and treasury. Yeah, we will see impeachments and getting Trump the hell out of there soon if he goes to war with Iran. And Iran realizes that. He realizes that Donald Trump at his core is a weak and pathetic and broken individual, and that Trump just wants a quick strike so he can say, look what I did, everybody. There's no plan. I mean, if you're looking at Hegseth and Kash Patel and Trump and Noam and this whole entire despicable, weak regime, what do you think Iran is actually afraid? They're afraid of our weapons, but the people who hold those weapons right now are fairly weak and pathetic, and so they can't bluff their way out of this one right here. Look, I think the Ayatollah is not legitimate. I hate what the Iranian Ayatollah is doing. I stand strongly and proudly with the people of Iran who want democracy, but Donald Trump betrayed them. Remember when he said, go out on the street, protest against the Ayatollah. If the Ayatollah kills one of you, I've got your back. Now in some statements, Donald Trump claims that the Ayatollah massacred as many as 32,000. That's a number that comes from Trump and the White House. We knew it was in the thousands, potentially tens of thousands, but Trump directly caused the massacre of 30,000+ Iranians who he told to protest and said he got their back, and they started protesting and the Ayatollah started massacring, and Donald Trump didn't even have our military position to help the protesters because our military was off the coast of Venezuela, where we invaded, and then Donald Trump stole the oil money there and put it in a Qatari bank account where he's using it for himself, not controlled by the Treasury. Trump controls a Qatari bank account where he sells oil from Venezuela to his right-wing oligarch buds. They take the oil, they buy the oil, and then Donald Trump takes the money and he puts it in his Qatari bank account. And by the way, they're like, the Trump regime brags, look at all this money we've got. I mean, you've slowed down oil production in Venezuela, by the way, so Trump can do the sales himself and take the oil and then put it in this Qatari bank account. At the same time, while all of this is going on, Donald Trump holds some bizarro board of peace meeting thing where none of our former allies actually attend this thing, and it's all of these different authoritarian regimes there. Then Donald Trump says he's giving $10 billion of our taxpayer money, $10 billion to a Board of Peace bank account? Okay, where's that bank account? Controlled by Donald Trump? In other words, you're stealing another $10 billion of our money for yourself? Oh, and all the while he has a photo of Vladimir Putin in the Oval Office above the photo of his grandkids. Again, how despicable can you get? Let me come and just bring some